do you think like indie wrestlers should form a union or?
I think they should, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. It would definitely be nice to have like benefits and whatnot, but I don't really know the specifics of it, but I don't really think it's feasible. I don't think in most markets that independent wrestling is profitable enough to be able to support something like that. And there's not a lot of trust in professional wrestling, especially the business aspect of it. It's very hard to find like good true friends. So I think it was like, didn't Ventura try to start a union back in the day, and Hogan wouldn't support him or whatever, and it started problems with them. But I don't know. It would be nice if something like that were possible, but I really don't see it happening.
What's your most memorable matches? Like you said, you had a 90-something minute match with CM Punk.
Mm-hmm. Memorable? I'd say the 93-minute match was definitely my most memorable match. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match with a 90-minute time limit. We ended up tied at the 90-minute mark, so we went into like 2.5 minutes of overtime. So it was definitely an experience. It wasn't a perfect match by any means. Both of us have gotten a lot better since then. So, but just the fact that we went out there and did it, and not necessarily just the fact that we did it, but the fact that the crowd was entertained, and the live crowd there for the last 10 minutes of the match were standing on their feet, and that was a very, something I'm very proud of. It's a big accomplishment. Going to Japan was a great experience, and something I'll always remember. If, God forbid I never get to go back, it's something I'll always remember. Going to Europe, and there was a group I work for in Europe called WXW, and they have a really unique atmosphere. They run shows in a nightclub, and it's such a confined atmosphere that the fans are right at ringside, like with their hands on the apron. And I maintained quite a bit of popularity over there, over the past few years, and they really get into the match, and it really makes it, something, a really crazy experience. And anybody that has wrestled there in that environment will agree that it's just an awesome experience to be in there, with all these, people from another country, slamming their hands down on the mat and cheering for the match. It's a really, really cool thing, something I'll really remember.
Have you ever had any serious injuries?
I've had quite a few small injuries, some nothing very serious. I haven't, had to take a lot of time off for anything too serious. I've had, numerous back problems. You land on your back all the time, and my lower back gives me problems every now and again. I have a problem with one of my ankles, a separated shoulder, concussion. Nothing. I've been pretty lucky, but it's just the risk you take. You go in there and you know how to protect yourself, but you can never be 100% sure that you're going to be protected or be safe, or it could be the littlest thing that goes wrong, and next thing you know, you can't walk very well the next day.
Who in the wrestling business do you look up to, like as a mentor and idol?
As you can see my T-shirt right now, this man Tracy Smothers is a guy I definitely consider a mentor. He is he's been everywhere, he's done everything. He's wrestled for all the main promotions. He's wrestled in numerous countries, and to this day, he'll go into a locker room and he'll sit with, guys that are inexperienced, guys that he doesn't even know, and he'll relate stories, and he's just a great guy, a class act. He knows a lot about the business, and he's not afraid to share it, and he gives back to the business. That's something that a lot of the veterans, a lot of the experienced guys don't do. I don't know whether they're just, maybe they have a grudge because they think they earned their way in, and they think these young guys haven't, and they don't want to share it. But Tracy's definitely not like that. He helps out. Fortunately, I got to get to know Chris Candido pretty well in the last few weeks before he passed away, and he was an awesome guy. He was just a great guy. He sat with us 2 nights in a row and told stories for 4 or 5 hours, and just the advice that he was giving us, the stories he was telling, he was just a real class act, a great guy. And when I heard the news that he passed, it was really shocking and really hard because we had just gotten to know him. I've known him for a couple years, but I didn't really know him on that level where he was such a kind guy to give advice and tell stories. He didn't have to do that, but he was really a great guy. I just want to be successful. I want to be respected and I just want to continue to have fun. I love wrestling, and like I said earlier, I want to do it as long as I can.
How about this, like, to a lighter note, like ribs in the wrestling business? Like, have you ever had a serious rib pull on you, or did you ever get somebody good?
Haven't had anything too serious happen to me, fortunately. I've had my boots glued to walls. I've had stuff hidden of mine. I was doing shows in Charlestown, Indiana for quite a while for Ian Rotten's IWA Mid-South promotion. And we used to run every Wednesday and Saturday. And we had a tournament on a Saturday. And the guys, I'm not quite sure who it was. I think it was either it was a combination of Adam Pearce, Colt Cabana, and CM Punk. They put a toad in my gear bag. Went home, got my plastic bag with my gear out, washed it, threw it back in the plastic bag, zipped it back up, so then the next Wednesday I opened my bag, opened my gear, and then out comes the toad. So they all thought it was hilarious. And of course, all the jokes came in about, Hero doesn't wash his gear, it stinks, he kept the frog in there or whatever. And it was surprising that it actually lived, there's all kinds of toad shit in my bag, I guess, but that was pretty funny at the time. I've seen all kinds of different stuff happen. It's pretty funny, Some people take things a little too far, but as long as it's in good humor and it doesn't take it too far, I think ribs are pretty entertaining and something that keep us sane on the road when we don't see our families or friends or whatever for weeks or months at a time.
Where do you see the wrestling business like 5 years from now?
Well, where I see it isn't necessarily where I want to see it. I'd like, whether it be TNA or another group, I'd like to see somebody come in and become another top promotion so that, if there's no competition, there's no creativity, and, there's less spots for guys to wrestle. And I'd like to see wrestling, swing back up in popularity and, get some better ratings on TV, get some better buy rates in pay-per-view, and, just, increase fun and business for everybody.
And what's the wrestling business like for an indie wrestler like yourself trying to move up to the next level, get on TV? Like, there's not many options. Like, what's it like? Yeah,
there definitely aren't many options. You have to have a steady income, whether it be a part-time job or a full-time job, or you have to make enough wrestling to be able to do this. It's definitely hard. You have to make a lot of sacrifice. I moved from Dayton, Ohio in fall of 2001, and unfortunately since then I hardly ever see people that I used to go to school with. I don't see my parents that often now. I live like 8 hours away from my parents, and I'd like to be able to see them, but unfortunately because of my business, I have to make a living on my own, and I don't get to see my parents. I don't get to see my friends. You can't really live a luxurious lifestyle unless you're making good money, and I don't necessarily make good money, but I make enough to get by.
Is there any questions that I should ask you about? What's a question that you would think a wrestler should be asked in a documentary like this? I always ask that to people.
Yeah, I guess a question I would like to answer, and a question I think should be asked is it worth it? You go out there and you damage your body, and for little to no pay sometimes, no guaranteed, no benefits, nothing, is it worth it? And to me, it's completely worth it, because I may go out there and may jack up my back a little bit or whatever, but that adrenaline rush that you get when you're in the ring and you can manipulate the crowd and you can get them to react a certain way that you want them to, or just the camaraderie of all the other guys in the locker room that you become friends with, guys from all over, guys from 10 different states or 5 different countries, that you can become really good friends with and have this bond with, that makes it worth it. It's just, if I wasn't wrestling right now, I have no clue what I'd be doing, but thankfully I found wrestling, and thankfully wrestling's been good to me. So is it worth it? I definitely think it's worth it.